Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Chris, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we're advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube live or later, and we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience. This includes music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now, here's Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome everyone who is in the Zoom room with me right now, and those of you watching on YouTube. And whether you're watching now or later, we appreciate you being present, showing up. I like to say showing up is a spiritual practice. And since we have our gatherings here online, just show up as you are, my friends, and your energy is here and part of what we're doing here, and I appreciate you. So today, our broadcast date is December the 15th, and I want to start out by covering a couple of highlights for the week to come that you might not be familiar with. So December 17th, that's Tuesday this year, is also known as Say It Now Day. So, the Say It Now movement owes its origins to a man named Walter Green from San Diego, and it reminds us of the importance of saying those important things to those we cherish. In particular, expressing gratitude to loved ones solidifies our relationships and eliminates the prospect of having regrets for things that you might have said. So remember, on Tuesday, it's Say It Now Day. Tuesday the 17th is also Wright Brothers Day. Orville and Wilbur Wright showed great vision, daring, heroism, and a sense of adventure when they made their first powered, controlled flight on Earth at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina on December 17th, 1903. An interesting story about the Wright brothers that you might not know is that they supported a young poet that they had attended school with named Paul Laurence Dunbar, who is credited as the first writer to put African American experience before a broad audience. Paul's dream was to become a journalist and publish a newspaper for the local Black community, but the city where they were would not allow that. So the Wright brothers, because they were very, proficient with mechanisms, they built a printing press in their basement and printed Paul's paper called the Tattler. So, something you didn't know. So, Tuesday, the 17th, is also Wright Brothers Day. And Saturday, December 21st, is the winter solstice, right? So, solstice means literally sun standing still. And in the northern hemisphere, it's the first day of winter, the shortest day, and the longest night of the year. So the solstice announces that winter is not for forever, that life continues, and solstice rituals offer an invitation to stay in good spirit, even when the night is so long and the day is so short. Here's a quote from Margaret Atwood, a Canadian poet, teacher, and environmental activist. This is the solstice, the still point of the sun, its cusp and midnight, the year's threshold and unlocking, where the past lets go of and becomes the future, the place of caught breath. Isn't that a nice phrase? So, lots to look forward to in the week to come, my friends. Let's get back to today. Today is December 15th. It is the third Sunday of Advent. And the theme for the third Sunday of Advent is love. So, we're going to continue what we've been doing this month, which is revisiting familiar and inspiring stories for the holiday season. And today our focus is on the classic short story, The Gift of the Magi, which was written by O. Henry and it was first published in 1905, so quite a while ago. O. Henry's is a pen name, and the author's full name is William Sidney Porter. And he was well known for short stories, but he also wrote poetry and nonfiction. And The Gift of the Magi has been frequently adapted for the stage. That's where I came to know it first. So I don't know how familiar you are with the story, but I'll walk you through it so that you won't be wondering what's she talking about. But I first came to know the story as a one-act play that was at a theater that I was working at in the early 2000s. A wonderful, it's a wonderful play for the holidays, but the plot has been adapted and copied in many TV shows through the years, including the early TV show, The Honeymooners. It's been on Sesame Street. They've parodied on Saturday Night Live and many more. So you'll recognize the plot because you've probably seen it in other places as we go. So let's take a look at this beloved story and how it weaves together with our Advent theme of love. So, the gift of the Magi begins in this way, and I read from the story itself. $1.87. That was all. She had put it aside 1 cent and then another in her careful buying of meat and other food. Della counted it 3 times. $1.87. And the next day would be Christmas. There was nothing to do but fall on the bed and cry, so Della did. So now, remember, this story was written back in 1905, so you think of that $1.87 in historical terms, but just imagine the level of careful scrimping and saving for an entire year and having only that much to show for it. So Della and her husband, whose full name is James Dillingham Young, but she calls him Jim for short. They live in furnished rooms at the cost of $8 per week. And when they first moved in, Jim was being paid $30 a week, but these days his pay had slipped to $20 a week. Here's another quote from the story. Della had put aside as much as she could for months. With this result, $20 a week is not much. Everything had cost more than she expected. Now, Della knew exactly what she wanted to buy for Jim for Christmas, and a pretty radical idea had come to her about how to get it. So let me read more from the story for you. Della and Jim were very proud of 2 things which they owned. One was Jim's gold watch. It had once belonged to his father, and long ago it had belonged to his father's father. And the other thing that they owned was Della's hair. So Della's hair is described in the story as long, beautiful brown hair that reached all the way to her knees. So I'm back to the story now. Della stood while a tear or two ran down her face. She put on her old brown coat. She put on her old brown hat. With the bright light still in her eyes, she moved quickly out the door and down the street. Where she stopped, the sign said, "Wig Maker, hair articles of all kinds." So, sure enough, Della went into the wig maker, and the wig maker offered Della $20 for her hair. And Della said yes before she could change her mind. So, back to the story now. Oh, and the next 2 hours seemed to fly. She was going from one shop to another to find the gift for Jim. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the shops, and she had looked in every shop in the city. It was a gold watch chain, very simply made. Its value was in its rich and pure material. Because it was so plain and simple, you knew that it was very valuable. All good things are like this. So you get the picture, my friends. She's got the gold watch chain. She's had all of her hair cut off. She hurries home. She prepares supper. She did everything she could to try to help herself look good with her new short haircut. Jim always arrived home at 7 and he was never late. When Della heard Jim's footsteps in the hall, she said a quick prayer before the door opened. "Please, God, make him think I'm still pretty." Here's from the story. The door opened and Jim stepped in. He looked very thin and he was not smiling. Poor fellow. He was only 22. He needed a new coat and he had nothing to cover his cold hands. Jim stepped inside the door. He was quiet as a hunting dog when it spotted a bird. His eyes looked strangely at Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not understand. "You've cut off your hair?" asked Jim slowly. He seemed to labor to understand what had happened. He seemed not to feel sure he knew. "Cut it off and sold it," said Della. "Don't you like me now? I'm me, Jim. I'm the same without my hair." From inside his coat, Jim took something tied in paper. "I want you to understand me, Dell," he said. "Nothing like a haircut could make me love you any less, but if you'll open this package, you'll know what I felt when I came in." So Della's fingers peeled off the paper, and then a cry of joy, and then a change to tears, for there lay the combs, the hair combs that Della had seen in a shop window and loved for a long time. Beautiful combs with jewels perfect for her beautiful hair. And now they were hers, but her hair was gone. She held them to her heart and at last was able to look up and say, "My hair grows so fast, Jim." So only then did Della remember Jim's gift, and she held it out to him on her open hand. "Isn't it perfect, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it. You'll have to look at your watch 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how they look together." Jim just sat down and smiled. "Della," he said, "let's put our Christmas gifts away and keep them for a while. They're too nice to use now. I sold the watch to get the money to buy the combs. And now I think we should just have our dinner." So the author takes a pause in the story right here to give the two young gift givers a few moments of privacy while they realize what has happened, what they have done, and hold each other with a mixture of laughter and tears and lots of love. So at the close of the story, O. Henry weaves his story with the story of the Nativity in this way. The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men who brought gifts to the newborn Christ child. They were the first to give Christmas gifts. Being wise, their gifts were doubtless wise ones. And here I have told you a story of two children who were not wise. Each sold the most valuable thing they owned in order to buy a gift for the other. But let me speak a last word to the wise ones of these days. Of all who give gifts, these two were the most wise. Of all who give and receive gifts, such are the most wise. Everywhere they are the wise ones. They are the Magi. The end. So I hope you enjoyed our storytelling time today. So if you were not familiar with the gift of the Magi, there you have it. And you may have seen that plot twist presented in different ways because it truly is a Christmas classic. So what does our author mean? What does O. Henry mean when he says of those who give and receive gifts like Della and Jim, they are the most wise. They are the Magi. So, unlike the Magi of the Bible, who were doubtless in the story wealthy and wise, and they brought gifts of great value. So, the reason that frankincense and myrrh were chosen as symbols in that story were that they were very valuable. So this was quite an honoring thing. And of course gold is valuable then as it is now. So is that these were substances that were tremendously valuable. So it was a way of, in the story in the Bible, honoring the Christ child, right? But in our story this morning, our heroes have been counting their pennies one by one all year long. The heroes of our story have made great sacrifice for the ones they love. One might say that they were foolish to act without talking with each other. Now, this is the way of the young, right? When you're young and in love, you want to make a grand gesture, right? And those of us who are older and perhaps have been in a relationship for a long time, might remember having done that yourself, way back when. And it doesn't always work out. Right? It doesn't always work out. Della and Jim are young. They'll learn. They'll get better so that they don't get this level of miscommunication that brings them this mixture of joy and tears at the same time. So what O. Henry, of course, have showed us is that what Della and Jim truly have given and received is the most precious gift, the gift of love. So through this bittersweet surprise ending, the truth of the gift of love shines through the story, doesn't it? Despite the appearance of the hard times they're experiencing, the financial lack, love is present in abundance. Love is expressing joyfully without limitation. And just like the love that shines through the nativity story. Now, love is a small 4-letter word in English, right? With many, many different meanings. And we know that in other languages, for example, in Sanskrit, they have 96 words for love, for all the different kinds of love. The ancient Greeks had 8 words for love. In English, we've got this one word, and it does so many things. It depends on the context, right? So in the context of unity, we recognize, of course, the warm and wonderful nature of the emotion, the feeling of love. And we talk about love as being more than an emotion. We refer to love as principle, as one of these, inherent and ever expressing aspects of the divine that is present in us and in everything all the time. So we name love as one of our 12 powers, the 12 powers being a teaching set that Charles Fillmore presented to show us aspects of the divine that express in us and through all of the world. So we describe this principle of love as a magnetizing power. So, think of a giant magnet that is love. So Della and Jim are drawn together by love, right? And the love they have is so strong that it draws them like a magnet to want to choose the perfect gift for their loved one, right? And in the nativity story, that magnetizing power of love places a star up in the sky that draws all the characters in the story to this one place for this wonderful happening, right? So this gives us an example of this magnetizing power of love. We also talk about the principle, the power of love, as being unifying and harmonizing. So we know that in the gift of the Magi, the love that brings these two young people together will hold them steady as they work through this profound misunderstanding about Christmas gift giving, right? After all, their hearts and the love will be present so that the real gifts that they are giving each other is more than a watch chain or some jeweled combs for the hair. It's love itself, right? And in the nativity story, the power of love brings together this human family through all kinds of troubles and turmoil of a mother, a human father, a, a human baby child, right? That needs to be raised. We have that power of love holding them all together and drawing to them everything that they need to be safe and provided for in the moment. This magnetizing, unifying, harmonizing principle of love is able to bring the other characters into the story as well. Humble shepherds from the field, together with noble, wise men that have traveled for weeks and weeks to come and see this baby child. It's also bringing in the wonderful energy of all of our animal friends, because many of us have animal companions, right? Those are represented in this story too. So bringing the animals and the humans together in a tableau that inspires the mind and opens the heart. So love is so very present in this story, in both these stories we're talking about this morning. And the most important thing for us to remember and to realize as we're talking about all of this on this third Sunday of Advent is that this energy we're calling love, this frequency, this vibration that we call love, is the divine itself. That is the energy of that which we call God. And here we are feeling it, breathing it, expressing it, receiving it through all of these stories. I mean, that frequency that we call love is God. So in the Bible, God is defined in two places. In one place in the Bible, it says God is spirit. So we will often use that word for God. And the other place defines God as love. So as you go through your holidays, as you experience the coming together, whether it is just you and your trusted pet at home, or a big family gathering, or friends, or just the coming together of you with an experience that you love, say watching a holiday movie or something like that, just recognize that that magnetizing, unifying, harmonizing energy is the divine itself. And here we are swimming in it, expressing it, receiving it all the time, right? So, whatever gifts you give or receive, whatever moments that you experience through the holidays, and some of them might not always be jolly and bright. Yeah. The holidays can often be a bit melancholy. We can experience grief because we're remembering years past, but just feel the love that is present through all of that, even through grief, even through a bit of remorse or regret, that the love is present, always expanding, always available. God is love all the time, and especially at Christmas time. So I hope you have enjoyed the story of the gift of the Magi. It's a favorite of mine. It's that wonderful combination of kind of human foibles with such wonderful, perfect expression of love. And it ties together so wonderfully. Oh, Henry ties it together with the story of the Nativity so wonderfully as we look at the gifts and the giving and receiving. So, what I'd like to do is we're going to move into our time of meditation now. I'm going to open us up with a meditation that is from the book This Life is Yours by Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett and Alicia Whitsett. And this is a meditation, an affirmation for love. So take a deep breath with me right here and now. And if you wish, you can allow your outer eyes to drift closed. Take a moment to reflect on these stories we've been talking about this morning. Story about Della and Jim, the nativity story. Let's focus in on love. Here we are from this book. Love is magnetic. My desire is to be in the state of love. No matter today's challenges, love is in the heart of me. I look to love, my harmonizing power, to integrate my thoughts and emotions, my beliefs and experiences. In the state of love, I know that I am one with you, with life, within myself. By the magnetizing, harmonizing, and unifying power of love, I radically, unabashedly, wholeheartedly love. So let's take the energy of that, my friends, into a time in the stillness together right now. And as we begin to bring our attention back to here and now, just feel the love expressing through every cell of your body, from the tips of your toes, up the leg, through the knee, into the hip and the seat, spiraling up your spine and radiating outward through all of your organs, through the shoulders, arms, elbows, and hands, up through the neck, through your head, through every feeling in your heart space, every thought and belief and attitude in your human brain. See it all radiating with this energy of love. This energy that draws you toward your highest good, like an amazing magnetizing field of energy. See all of our good expressing now through all of our circumstances, in love as love. Let's close this time of meditation together with an affirmation. I like to put my hand right on my heart space when I say an affirmation, so I'm sure that it's grounded in the body, that I'm feeling it through my heart, speaking it from my seat of power with the voice, the word, and know that it is present through all aspects of my consciousness. So here's our affirmation. You can repeat it with me a couple times at home afterwards. I am love. God is love, and I am grateful. Say it with me, my friends. I am love. God is love, and I am grateful. Let's do it one more time, shall we? I am love. God is love, and I am grateful. So it is. Thank you so much for being here, my friends. That is it for me. And I'm going to hand it back to our friend Chris. Here she comes.
Thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website at uofva.org to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation. You can support our ministry as well with your financial donation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.